Really?
Yeah, over the big PA and all that. But the reason I sing the song is because I travel around with the guitar and I meet folks everywhere I go, and they all ask where you're from, and I always say, well, I'm from New Mexico. And oftentimes people, are confused by that, and they say funny things like, really, you're from New Mexico? But I don't understand, you speak such good English. And anyway, it just kind of turned into this silly, we smile through the pain there, and it's just comedy, and I wound up writing a country song. It's really a protest song in the country style of singing about my home state of New Mexico, and maybe I can share it with you now.
We would love that.
And if you like this song, maybe some of the listeners could ask to hear it again, because you're going to have a record of it here in the next hour or so.
Yes, I can't wait. It's on yellow vinyl.
It's on yellow vinyl. It's not yet released digitally, but it will be very soon. It's the New Mexico song. Well, in a barren but beautiful desert, my pony up and I found my way to an old highway, put my thumb out for a ride. A team of crazed coyotes stopped and offered me a ride. They said, what do you know of New Mexico? And I looked to them and cried. It ain't new, and it ain't Mexico. Some things you ought to know. 1 and 1 is 2. Skies where the 4 winds blow. Corazón es contento. Some things you ought to know, like New Mexico. The trunk was filled with chili. It was headed west on I-40. Destination headquarters, one-man Trader Joe. The deal was on the table for an insufficient sum, when the buyer had the nerve to ask, where the hell's this chili from? We said, it ain't new, it ain't Mexico. Some things you ought to know. 1 and 1 is 2. Skies where the 4 winds blow. Corazón es contento. Some things you ought to know, like New Mexico. This last verse, I have to say, I mean you no disrespect if you're paying attention to these words. In case you happen to be from Kansas or Kansas City, Missouri, or maybe work for the TSA, this is just a true story. It happened to me. It goes like this. down at the Kansas City airport when they asked me for ID. I showed my driver's license to this gal at security. She said, although you speak good English, I cannot let you through, because for international travelers, only passports will do. I said, it ain't you, it ain't Mexico. Some things you ought to know. 1 and 1 is 2. Skies where the 4 winds blow. Corazón is contento. Some things you ought to know, like New Mexico. Yeah, no passports to show. New Mexico. USA.